Warning, this movie told good contains spoilers of the best kind. The beginning of the film starts with the end of the film, original, and Ed Norton is sat in a chair with a gun in his mouth being held by Brad Pitt. Brad is all like, "Any last words?" And Norton is talking to the screen saying, "Mate, let me tell you, I met Brad Pitt." Norton tells the story of a man named Bob who lost his balls and grew some massive boobs. He used to be a bodybuilder, but now he just cries about having massive boobs. He met him at Testicular Cancer Club, or TCC for short. All the men there except Norton had ball cancer, and so they all united together to share stories and stuff. Bob cries all over Norton's head and gets boob sweat from his massive boobs all on his face. Ed's like, "Oh wait, I forgot to start at the very beginning of the story." Nice job, Ed. So he's got insomnia and hasn't slept in 6 months or something crazy like that. So he goes to his doctor and is like, "Yo, doc, give me some meds." And he's all like, "Not happening, dude, you need some healthy natural sleep." And Ed's like, "But doc, I'm in pain." And the doctor's like, "You want to see real pain? Go to TCC and listen to those guys." So he does and meets Bob. He cries into his massive boobs and then he's able to sleep. Spoiler, Bob's massive boobs have magical healing powers. Ed becomes addicted to attending TCC to get his weekly dose of magic boobie healing. Basically, Bob's massive boobs are Ed's drug.
Ed starts to attend loads of cancer clubs and then meets Marla. Marla doesn't have cancer either, but likes to go to the CCs for fun. Ed gets pissed and makes a schedule so they never have to see each other at the clubs. He's like, "Hey, Marla, you don't have cancer. What are you doing?" And she's like, "Well, neither do you." And he's like, "Fuck yourself. I'm going to my special place." And imagines himself in a cave with a penguin. After his schedule, he never sees Marla again. Ed has this weird thing about falling asleep at random times and waking up on airplanes. He goes on lots of business trips, but always seems to be asleep for most of it, but then wakes up mid-flight. He does this next to Benjamin Button. Ed points out that they have the exact same briefcase, to which Ben replies, "Soap." Benjamin Button says he's in the soap making business and then shows Ed all the magical soaps he's made. Once off the plane, Ed says that his dildo was vibrating in a suitcase, so the airport man had to tell the police in case it was a bomb. Ed finally gets home to find out his condo was being blown up, so he uses a payphone to call Benjamin Button. He hangs up, but then the payphone rings him back and then they meet for a drink. Ed asks Ben if he can stay at his, and Ben says, "On one condition, you must punch me square in the face." So Ed socks him one right in the ear. Then they have a sexy fight and go to a big ass ugly house. They just live there for a while, take sexy baths together and stuff like that. Then every weekend they go and have a sexy fight outside the same bar. Lots of people started joining in and wanted to have sexy fights with Benjamin Button. The owner of the bar, who turns out to be Wolverine, decides to let them have fights in his basement. Every week, Ben told everyone the rules of Fight Club. 1. Don't talk about Fight Club. 2. Don't sing about Fight Club. 3. Only stop if someone dies. 4. No less than 2 guys to a fight. 5. Only one fight at a time. 6. No clothes. Ever. 7. Fights will go on until someone dies. 8. If it's your first night at Fight Club, you have to die. Norton loses a tooth and puts it under his pillow, but gets sad when he doesn't get a coin. A police calls him and tells him that someone put a dynamite in his condo and blew it up on purpose. Ben tells Ed he wants to make some soap, so to do that they need to steal some fat from a fat removal clinic. Then they make soap. Ben then pours acid all over Ed's hand and gives him a chemical burn for no reason at all. Ed is cruising the streets and runs into his old friend Bob, the one with the magic boobs. They both discover they attend Fight Club, but on different nights, and then they decide to fight. Bob uses his magic boobs to crush Ed to the ground. A man called Lou comes into the basement and beats up Benjamin Button, but he finds it super funny. Then he bleeds all over Lou, and Lou runs away because he's afraid he might have AIDS. Ben tells everyone they need to fight a stranger and Lou, so Ed decides to fight his boss. But he doesn't fight him, he just beats himself up and blames his boss. This meant his boss paid him forever, and Ben and Ed had Fight Club every day. Ben and Ed go and threaten a foreign shopkeeper and will kill him if he doesn't go back to school. Ben sets up a scheme to let people be his slaves by testing their abilities to withstand bullying. They must stand on his porch and be called mean things like fat and blonde. After 3 days they can be his slave. After a few days, guess who shows up? Bob with his magic boobs! One day everyone celebrates because they vandalized the building by painting a Joker face onto it, and then they made it on the news. Ed's like, "What is this?" And they're all like, "Don't ask questions about Project Mayhem." Everyone dresses up as waiters and then kidnaps a man at a hotel and threatens to cut his balls off. Later, at Fight Club, Ed beats the crap out of Jared Leto, the lead singer of 30 Seconds to Mars. This is because Jared is a musician yet won an Oscar for acting, one more than Ed's ever won. They get in a car and go for a cruise, which is where Ben tells Ed that he blew up his condo and then crashes the car they're in because Ed doesn't know what he wants to do with his life. Benjamin Button disappears for a while, and whilst he's gone, Bob is killed by a policeman. He's shot right in the head and he leaks brain all over the floor of the house. Norton tries to find Ben and so sets out on an epic bar crawl across 50 cities. In each one they address him as Sir, but don't tell him where Ben is. Eventually a guy at some bar is like, "Hi Sir," and Ed's like, "Do you know me?" And the dude is like, "Is this a test?" And Ed's like, "No, who am I?" And he's like, "You're Brad Pitt." And then Ed's all confused, so runs back to a hotel and Ben appears out of nowhere. After a conversation it is revealed that Benjamin Button is not in fact Benjamin Button, he is in fact Brad Pitt, and Brad Pitt is also the same person as Edward Norton. Ed falls asleep, and when he wakes up he finds out that Brad has planted a bomb underneath a skyscraper, so Ed runs there and has a final battle with Brad. He loses, and this is where our story began. Ed Norton is sat in a chair with a gun in his mouth being held by Brad Pitt. Ed's all like, "Yo, call off the bomb," and Brad's like, "Mate, I've got them all over the city." Then Ed realizes they're the same person, so he blows his own face off to kill Brad Pitt. He stands in the window of the skyscraper and watches the city burn to the ground.